Welcome to Monthly Review, the monthly feature in which I talk about the best CDs released in the previous month. In this case, we're going to talk about the October 2023 releases and not necessarily even touch upon the CDs that were released in late September, because most of those releases are not available on streaming platforms nor on Outta, which are the two platforms from which I review music or purchase music. So that's a big issue, especially for fans of Aupela, because I wanted to review Aupela 5.5, but I couldn't because that CD is not available anywhere to purchase unless you are going to purchase the physical edition, which in my case doesn't matter much to me. I wanted the digital and it's not available. I may talk about it as soon as it is available, but right now it isn't, so I do not have much to say, despite having said in the previous episode that I was going to talk about those CDs and especially Aupela. But since Aupela changed hands from K-Lab to a different distributor and producer, now things have changed quite a lot and Aupela is no longer catering to international fans, and as such their music has since stopped being available, or the new music is not even available on streaming platforms or even Outta for purchase or streaming. So that's a big issue, especially for a project that has so much potential. But putting that aside, I have a lot of things to say to you, and if you are a big fan of pop music and EDM, this is going to be the episode for you because October was crazy good for fans of EDM and pop music. But first, let's talk about something that is not necessarily pop, and it's a bit more laid back. And the first CD that I'm going to talk about in the best of October 2023 is Gakuto Kajiwara's Jinsei no Life.
暗い暗い夜の中を一人で歩く日々はねえきっと君が思うよりもずっといたかったんだ君が言うごめんねのひと
Well, I was with high hopes for this CD, and in a way I'm satisfied about it, but not necessarily really satisfied about it. I feel that this CD is really cohesive, really fun to listen to, all about laid-back vibes. For those of you that love acoustic rock and love a little bit of, I should say, you love more introspection and nostalgia in your music, this is going to be your CD. However, if you are trying to find something that has a little bit more pacing or has a bit more of a groovier, funkier vibe, that's not found in this CD. Jinsei no Life is much like life, not perfect, and it is a really interesting analogy in here. It's not perfect and it goes through the motions at a different pacing than you would have expected, and then again it is because the stories are being told in a specific way. I found the CD itself to be really slow building, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Some CDs take a lot of time to build up to something really interesting, but in this case, in a CD that has, let me check and confirm how many tracks, in a CD that has 5 tracks, only starting from Yume Utsutsu, Natsukaze Kaoru, did the CD actually started to be really awesome for me. Up until then, all the songs are really good, but I felt that individually the songs do not pack as big of a punch as previously released songs. And I felt that the CD as a whole works really well together, but if you spread the songs, for example in digital singles, they aren't particularly remarkable. Of course, Yume Utsutsu, Natsukaze Kaoru, it's a different story. I found the song to be quite amazing and it is remarkable within the CD. So it is an acoustic ballad, it works really well. It builds up in a way that only will make you cry if you are really invested in the story. For me, as I was listening to that song, I was finding similarities with Aimer. It is a really talented artist that usually releases music for anime series, for example. Quite remarkable her work for Number 6, for example. it reminds me a little bit, at least in the style and the way he approached that acoustic ballad and its build up to some of Aimer's songs, which is a good thing for me at least, because I do appreciate Aimer a whole lot. Of course, it is a different talk. We're talking about male seiyuu, not artists in general, but I do feel like it has a little bit of that essence of being really a tearjerker if you really are invested in that song. Yumetsutsu Natsukaze Kaoru is really the best song in that CD, but other than that, I don't feel the CD to be remarkable. It is solid, it is more of the same thing that Gakuto Kajiwara is doing, which is a really good thing. Consistency has been key for him, and I've said it before, it is quite impressive how a seiyuu, and especially a seiyuu artist, with such a young solo career is already this consistent, and is already this confident that his music genre is acoustic rock, and it is the thing that he is a master of, and he will continue to create music around it. So if you like acoustic rock and or acoustic pop rock, Gakuto Kajiwara is really the artist for you, because he is really consistent in this genre, and he makes sure that all or almost all the songs are in that specific genre. In this CD, you have more laid-back vibes, you do not have as much excitement as in the previous CD. I'm still hungover about Outta, and this CD didn't really clench that thirst for a song that is as stylish as that one, but Yume Otsutsu, for me at least, was a song that touched me, and that's already a good thing. Within an album that all the songs are good, but I can't really say that they are remarkable. So while I reviewed it quite highly, some songs of course didn't, but most of the CD was reviewed quite highly, and it is because the songs within the CD feel good. They really feel good within that concept, because you are taking half an hour to listen and to dive into a story and to be immersed in that world that Gakuto Kajiwara created for you. So in that half an hour, you are relaxed, you are reliving things because of all that nostalgia going on in the instrumentals, and you are following stories and coming across love and other sorts of feelings. It is really nice within a CD, and as a CD, it is really, really awesome, feel-good experience. But if you take the songs or pick the songs apart and you are listening to those almost in a shuffle way, for example, the CD doesn't really hold up that well. At least for me, it doesn't hold up that well. I was expecting a much stronger CD or mini album in this case, but Gakuto Kajiwara went on a softer side and bet on creating something more cohesive, but not as exciting. But then again, acoustic pop rock is usually not that exciting, so he is doing everything right. It's just that it lacks something for me. So I was expecting something within the likes of Outta. We didn't get that, but still Yume Otsutsu is so beautiful. You really need to listen to that performance, because on the vocal end it is impressive, and on the instrumental end, if you follow the song with quite a lot of attention, you will feel goosebumps all over you. It is one of those songs that you don't need to do anything to actually feel the song. It is really, really good. So that's my take on Gakuto Kajiwara's Jinsei no Life. Then we have Anthos with Other.
幕が開けば踊りの儀式用意されたプロかけ違ってペインテッドラット奈落へ落ちてく君の信頼欲しくて笑顔見たくてモノローグ下手へ隠したのに
The Think of Me series continues, and Anthos really did something really awesome, as you can see by my grin that I really can't, hide by now. It is awesome to see the group reinventing themselves. They are, first and foremost, a chill-out type of group. They started their activities with that unique, atmospheric, almost dreamlike sound. and they continue with it, but they have been evolving that sound and making it much more than that. And they have been showing as well that they are maturing, and that maturity is also being brought into the music. And as such, this time around they brought in different composers to work with them. In RNPN, which is a really difficult name to pronounce, especially fast, I'll leave you the challenge to say that 3 times in a row. It is a song that goes and picks the best things about Anthos, and also takes some inspiration from Lolodi. This is a song that starts really in a lyrical fashion. You will find that the instrumental is quite dramatic when it starts, which is not something that Anthos does a lot, actually at all. So you have that drama, which is not usual for the group, and it hints a lot at Lolodi. When you press play, the song almost sounds like it may be from Lolodi, but quickly the composition, if you pay attention to the composition, you will easily notice that this is not a Hamatakeshi composition, because it is way too simple to be a Hamatakeshi composition. Even if it is really layered, it is a really simple composition in comparison to what Hamatakeshi usually does. So in this case, our NPN goes for a mix of lyrical style with their chill out, minimalistic EDM sound. And it works really well. So you have that drama in the intro, then you have quieter verses, and then there comes the chorus. The chorus is all about being dreamy. You have really interesting hi-hat going on. You have deep, distorted synths also playing as almost as a bass line in the background. So you will notice that there is a lot of distortion going on in the background, but the background is not necessarily crowded, which is a really good thing. You have time to notice all the layers and more within this song. For me, as someone that does critical style of listening, I do not listen to music casually, so usually I am critically listening to the song and picking parts apart to notice layers and layers within a song. Of course, that's because I have practice or experience in composing music and music theory in a way, so I do understand and I can really or easily tell those layers, whereas other people may not. In this case, I found at least 7 layers to this song. It has a lot of bass going on, from the bass line itself to a synth lead that is also bassy, to a distorted synth that is also bassy. It's also really, really fancy, which I was not expecting. In a way, our NPN does a lot of things really well, and I usually say I do not enjoy unisons in songs because it sounds lazy. Usually when you put all the members together singing at the same time, either you are covering for someone that doesn't know how to sing, and it usually is for 2D groups, or you don't know what to do with that part and you didn't have anything melodic to add to that, so instead you make the whole group sing that together. Usually I'm not a fan of unisons, but in this case the group went on for unisons that were unreal, because the group has really improved on the vocal end. This is something that when I was listening to the group for the very first time, I felt that, well, aside from Seiichiro Yamashita and Wataru Komada, which were the weakest singers within the group, now Seiichiro has really grown a lot and Komada is really growing as we speak, so they are no longer the weakest, they are growing alongside the group. Of course, it is really difficult to beat or to match the style or the quality of Shunichi Toki, Shun Horie, and Kentito. It's really crazy to have 3 really, really good singers within the group and really striving to do more. So we have the members all trying to catch up in terms of quality to that trio. The group has grown a whole lot and everyone has managed to evolve in some way. Toshiki Masuda now does falsetto with a little bit of ease, when back in the day he didn't do any falsetto at all, so he has grown in that way. Seiichiro Yamashita now does long notes and falsetto as well, which is crazy, like he did in Regret. And we have at times Wataru Komada doing a really, really good job on the vocal end, even matching the group when it comes to high notes and low notes. So it does also a little bit of everything, almost like Toshiki Masuda, although Toshiki Masuda is more experienced as a singer in comparison, and it's noticeable when they are both singing. Still, the group as a whole has grown a whole lot, and in here they are performing unisons in a really fancy way. They are going for canons, which is not that common for the group. Once again, that's something that is associated with a lyrical style of performance, and yet again they are doing that. And they have even rapping, and it is in that specific part that I want to give kudos to Daiki Hamano and Seiichiro Yamashita, because they really went for it, and their rapping is... they are taking turns, and their rapping is rapid, it is incisive, it is really fun, and their flow is really awesome. Props as well to Seiichiro Yamashita, because he's really fast in his rapping this time around. I was really with my mouth ajar as he was rapping. It is a really brief part, it takes basically the second verse completely before going into the pre-chorus and chorus again, and it is really fun to listen to that rapping part. As a whole, the song is really fun, although I believe that most people that will be listening to it will feel that, well, this song has a lot of music genres in it, it has a lot of inspirations in it, the vocals are neither clean singing nor rapping, they are a mix of both, they don't have a specific focus in this song, and really the song doesn't seem to have a really specific focus. I find it to be quite refreshing, also because this is a song with a different composer than usual, so it's of course expected for the group to sound a bit different, even if the composer was to follow a guide and know what was the style and what were really the quirks or the unique details that they have on the vocal end. The song encompasses all the best things about Anthos and takes advantage of the good vocals that the group has. For me, it's a solid song, doesn't come close really to a perfect note, but it is really good. And for a first attempt for a new composer, it's really solid. However, I didn't need even 5 seconds into the other side to know that I was going to fall in love with that song. Instantly. It is a song that I instantly fell in love with. I love when the songs are... I don't know how to explain this really well, but still, it is a song that is dreamy. Dreamy is, of course, something that Anthos has in their music. It is a concept that is all around their instrumentals. But it has such a mature take on that concept. And then it has a really cool space disco vibe. So you have a fun, danceable sound, but it is so down-tempo that you only can jam along to it. Not really party hard, but jam along to it, nod along to it, feel the vibe in your body. It is really the type of music that I love, because space disco is stylish, is a sort of a new subgenre that has basically taken over, for example, Korean music a couple of years back, and has now been making sort of small ripples in some 2D music projects, and in this case we have space disco in here, and it is stylish as hell. The Other Side is a song that I instantly fell in love with for the instrumental, but 10 seconds in and you get some of the best vocals that the group has provided you, which is yet again surprise after surprise, and I love this a whole lot. You have almost everyone. I will say Daiki Hamano and Wataru Komada may not be in falsetto with the rest of the group, but the whole group is in falsetto, singing really high, which is not something that you would expect from the group, especially yet again when I say that Seiichiro Yamashita is yet growing as a singer. Toshiki Masuda is not really a falsetto type of singer, and Daiki Hamano really doesn't do falsetto that often or at all, since he is a bass style of singer. But still, I was quite impressed with what they had to offer in this song, because vocally it is quite impressive how high they go. They are following the lead by Shun Horie and Shunichi Toki. They are really going crazy high for this song, and then you have Kentito doing his own stylish thing in the background. Toshiki Masuda adding a little bit of a fancy, slightly alluring vibrato in there, which is a trademark of his. And then you have Wataru Komada, Daiki Hamano and Seiichiro Yamashita doing their own thing to support the performance and actually go for those high notes, with some exceptions. I do find this performance to be really good. The harmonies with the group in the chorus are crazy, and I love how fancy each of the individual parts in this song are. So from start to finish, The Other Side is a song that I fell instantly in love with, and honestly, I'm talking about this song right now and I want to listen to it right now, so that will have to wait for the end of this recording, but for sure I will go and revisit this song as fast as I can because it is really, really good. So if you have not a lot of time to check songs, but you still want to check something new, Anthos, The Other Side is really good. But if you want to dive into Anthos' world and world building as well, and concepts and all the instrumentalization that they have and the style and tone that they have to their music, I of course recommend you to check Other, which is the name of this CD, another entry in the Think of Me CD series. And to wrap up, the best CD released in October 2023 is LIHITO with air quotes.
目覚めの満月ね太陽の森で忘れのみ頬張っていた夢の中僕は一人そこに迷子の女の子わざわざどうしたの変化友達になってよ無邪気な目でうなずくから
Now, I was not expecting. I said in the previous episode that I was really excited about CHISE's air quotes CD. I listened to CHISE's CD prior to listening to LIHITO's, and well, while CHISE was sassy and I was expecting him to be sassy and he delivered, the instrumentals didn't feel that good to me, at least. So when I was reviewing the music, I had everything queued up, and the last CD that I was going to review in that day was LIHITO with air quotes, and well, I left the best for last. And honestly, if you haven't checked his entry, LIHITO is voiced by Kentito, just as a heads up, and he's one of the main vocals within Anthos. And the concept for his air quotes CD is love and romance or desire in some way, and for sure he delivered. Good thing about this CD, Zakbee and KAN TAKAHIRO are working together in both songs. And when Zakbee and KAN TAKAHIRO work together, you usually get really awesome songs. Either, regardless if it is Pionics, regardless if it is Vez Rock, especially with Rockdown, and regardless if you are seeing him working with Anthos, and now individually. If Zakbee is there in the credits, you know that the song is really going to be complex on the vocal end, and both songs are really, really tricky on the vocal end. But then again, it's Kentito performing, so what was tricky sounds really easy, because he is really experienced and technical. At the same time, if you wanted something to deliver a sexy, almost alluring vibe, but without being too overbearing, really stylish, the kind of song that you would deem classy while being really alluring, you need to bring in KAN TAKAHIRO. He's shown before that he can do that. Turn Around Again, a song by Reiji in the Vez Rock franchise, is a good example of what KAN TAKAHIRO can do when it comes to the concept of being sexy or the concept of desire, and this time around he delivered more than that song even. Pairing up with Zakbee, the two have been really working nicely for the Hanadol franchise, and I love when they team up for a song by Anthos. So that's really my first take on that, on the composition end, because not many people give credit to the composers and the writers, and I feel that they deserve it because there's a lot of coincidences in here. Whenever Zakbee is involved in Anthos' music or KAN TAKAHIRO takes over, usually both release or give way to awesome songs. So credit where it's due. They once again did an amazing job by creating two songs that I really can't take off of my head, which is really really good. I can't even choose a favorite song within this CD because Lotus and Venus and Ichihoren both are amazing. I love how synthwave made its way with Ichihoren. It is something that I was not expecting because synthwave is really niche. There were attempts in 2021 to make it a thing for some seiyuu artists and some 2D groups, but that didn't catch on. And it's really a treat for me to find something that is so 80s and it's so well done in this CD. Of course, only KAN TAKAHIRO could do that really really well because it's EDM music, but really with a classy twist because it is the 80s, and at the same time you have that technicality on the vocal end by Kentito that only Zakbee can bring when he is in charge of the composition in a way and the lyrics and vocal direction in another. So I do find Ichihoren to be really, really stylish and dreamy song. It is, I don't know how to say it, it is so focused on the bass line and the synths, but still it is such a song that doesn't have much happening. You have a really wide soundscape around you. The soundstage is actually pretty interesting because you have a really wide soundscape. All the instruments are really easy to tell apart, and at the same time you have LIHITO really in front of you. It's really close quarters in this performance. Ichihoren has a really different style of mixing for the vocals. The vocals are really on top of you, instead of blending with the background or in a way being or taking a couple of steps away from you to give more space for the instrumental to play around you. So it is a different way to approach this song. Of course, the theme required LIHITO to be closer to you because the theme is love and desire yet again. Of course, the song that right now I want to listen to the most, I do love both yet again, is Lotus and Venus, and it is crazy. This song, it feels like as soon as you press play, the curtains open and you enter a room, and that room has a lot of people dancing and jamming along to a jazzier type of music. It has a Rhodes piano leading the way, which I love. It is a really classy touch to the instrumental and a really fun element added to a song that instantly makes it almost inviting for you to dance along to. But then you have shuffling drums, and those drums or the beat makes it seem almost as if you are entering the room, but LIHITO is shuffling along all the people in the room and making a beeline for you. It's really really interesting, the whole vibe it has in there, and I do love it a whole lot. Of course, on the vocal end, Kentito brings a lot of things new to me, at least within this franchise. He's doing R&B riffing, which is not something that he does a whole lot with Anthos, and the way he approaches this performance, the emotion that he gives, the energy that he's giving to it, it makes the performance all the more engaging. You really feel almost as he is shuffling along the dance floor and coming towards you. I do find it really interesting. In terms of storytelling, it feels like something is happening, something is developing, more so than having to pay attention to the lyrics themselves. You feel that something is evolving, that someone is coming closer, and as he's describing everything that he feels, it really feels like he's shuffling along the dance floor and coming towards you. As the chorus kicks in, it seems that the lights go out, mirror ball is down, and the room turns into a really impressive dance floor. I love this song a whole lot. I love both songs a whole lot. I do love how technical they are on the vocal end, as well as how fancy they are when it comes to the instrumentals. So if I had to recommend something that you must really listen to from October, it is LIHITO's air quotes CD, because it is outstanding from start to finish. This is by far the best entry so far in the air quotes CD series. It's really flawless from start to finish, which is something that up until now none of the CDs that I previously reviewed in this CD series managed to achieve. So it is really, really good. If you have the time, do check it because it is amazing. And this is all from my end about the best CDs of October 2023. Now, I was checking here your participations, and we have someone with a suggestion or basically mentioning a CD that is or stood out in the previous month. Welcome to Sonata. Thank you very much for your comment. So Sonata says, Gakuto Kajiwara's Jinsei no Life. Individually, the songs might not stand out to me, but they kinda complement each other as a whole. I also prefer his vocals in this mini album to the vocals in the last one. Overall, I think it's just a nice mini album to spend your time with for a bit. Exactly, Sonata, that's the feeling that I get, that the CD itself feels really good, but if you take the songs apart and you start listening to those on shuffle, for example, the songs aren't particularly remarkable. As for the vocal performances, that's a taste. I'm not going to comment on that because I did prefer the vocals in the previous CD as opposed to this one. Not to say that the vocals in this CD aren't good, because they are. It's Gakuto Kajiwara that we are talking about, his clarity and that unique voice tone that he has, and that unique take on the baritone range is something that it's always impressive for me, but I feel that his performances in the previous CD are much better than in this CD, or at least in the previous mini album. As far as this CD goes, I was expecting much more. I feel from your comment as well that you were expecting much more, but still it is a really good time that you are spending with that CD. I feel that the half an hour that you spend listening to it, it doesn't go to waste because the music is really good. There are some CDs that you listen to and you feel like, what did I do with my free time to listen to these, and it is not that good. But in this case, while the CD is not remarkable, you leave with a smile on your face when the CD wraps up. And despite being that nostalgic, you really feel that you connected with the CD in some way. Even if everything about it is soft and it's not made to impress anyone, it's really just feel-good music with interesting stories underneath. I feel that Gakuto Kajiwara missed a bit in here to grab my attention, and I believe the attention of many people, that just like you feel that the CD is good but the songs aren't particularly remarkable on their own. But still, that's something that with each CD improves, and I'm looking forward to see that improving. So thank you very much for your comment, Sonata, and I hope at least other CDs within October have impressed you a bit more, or if Gakuto Kajiwara's Jinsei no Life is actually being your soundtrack to this autumn. Time for monthly choice, the corner in which I recommend you songs to listen to because I have been listening to those a whole lot. And this month was a month that was heavy on Paradox Live for me. If you do not know, at least from what I write on the website, I do not talk much about the franchise in here, but I do write about the franchise on the website. I'm a big fan of Paradox Live. The franchise is really, really awesome. Well, this project has kept me really, really interested. I am not watching the anime series, first off, because I do not have time to watch the anime series, but I do know that there is a lot of hype around Paradox Live, and deservingly so, because this franchise has well-defined music for each group. They have a really specific and really interesting reason behind why their style is as it is, and they keep it really consistent across a multitude of CDs. This time around I bring you AMPRULE's True Pride, because I do like my hip-hop to have a regal vibe to itself.
られるだけでヘッドが出るこれベストヒットする前もケツ変える先へ通じテクショシャのミュージック音に忠実簡単なら選べ忠実
First off, I'm not following the story itself, so my comments are not about the story. I do know that some people have, or most people have, a lot to say about AMPRULE and the individual members, but I'm not going to dive into that because I do not follow the story itself. I only follow the music, and that's based on the music that I'm speaking about this franchise. And the big reason why I do not speak about this franchise as much is because usually there's always someone that comes in the comments to say that, well, within the story that's not really that thing. Well, I'm not speaking about the story, I'm really speaking about the music itself. So that's a big difference, and I'm here of course trying my luck about talking about their music without having someone coming in the comments and saying that my view is wrong because I do not follow the story or the anime series. Still, AMPRULE, True Pride is a song that is really, and like the title, all prideful, and I do enjoy it a whole lot because of that. Because of that prideful element, the whole instrumental has a regal vibe. It has a sense or a vibe, or it oozes superiority, which is not necessarily a good thing. Of course, within rap music, showing that you are superior usually works really well because the song sounds as really confident and quite aggressive, or passive aggressive should I say, and it works really well within rap music. I do find, and this of course is also a tangent to what I talk about in here, I do love Marin Inoue's rapping flow. She is really outstanding, and she has kept me really interested about this group, although I'm a big sucker for the Cat's Whiskers and Cosmes. But AMPRULE still makes me quite interested because their music has this sort of self-important vibe to itself, and even if it has all that confidence, there's a layer of fragility in there, and I do find it really interesting to dive a bit deeper in that when you are listening to the music itself. If you pay closer attention to the lyrics, of course you will find more about the story that is going on underneath and how the characters are as they are, but I don't dive that deep into that because otherwise I would have to dive really deep into the drama CDs and all the lore, and it is a lot by now, and I do not have the time to do that. But as it is, the song is really awesome. I instantly, as soon as I press play in this song, I start bouncing around to it. It has a really good bounce to the bass line, it has a really good pacing, and the beat is really fun. I do love the strings going on in the background. It gives almost a retro vibe to it. When I say retro, I'm talking about late 90s, early 2000s, when hip-hop usually had strings coming to give it a really rough but self-important vibe to itself, when you wanted to make a statement that you were important and that you are special and that no one can touch you. It's usually that vibe that is associated with rap music that brings in strings, and especially strings in the way that AMPRULE brings. This is a song that brings me, or at least takes me back to that era, the late 90s and the early 2000s. It is fun, it is not overwhelming in the sense of the composition having a lot of things going on at the same time, and I do love the dynamic between Marin Inoue and Ryotaro Okayu because they do fit really well together. Marin Inoue is actually a beast when it comes to rapping. Ryotaro Okayu is a bit subdued, but it is yet again something that fits, I believe, with the character and how the character approaches Marin Inoue's. So it is to be expected that he sounds a bit subdued and a bit quieter at times, because they have a sort of a master and servant style of relationship, at least from what I gather listening to their music. So if you can and you haven't checked it, do check it. We have Inmates Break Out of Here.
手なものには期待しない不安定な感情なら視界に入る前にシャットダウンする
Inmate is also an interesting group, also within the Paradox Live franchise. I do enjoy their style a whole lot, because they are minimalistic in their approach to rap music, which is interesting. They have a more melodic style of rapping. They don't necessarily go all out to being rough and tough, but they are really passive-aggressive in the way they deliver their rapping. You can tell that they are angry with someone or something, and they really are passive-aggressively performing their music, which it is an odd contrast to their chill-out, relaxing vibe that is all about atmospheric scenes and creating a whole dreamy or dream-like vibe. Not dreamy in the sense that it is alluring. It is a dream-like state, almost like it is a dream, but not. It's not really reality. It is a dream. It feels like almost like it. So it is really interesting. I do love this group a whole lot, even if they tend to cling a bit more to the pop side of hip-hop than hip-hop, really rough and tough. And at the same time, I do enjoy this group a whole lot because Shoichiba is in there, so I had to check this group, and actually I did find interesting that he's actually in charge of the melody for the group, occasionally of course doing rapping with a really cool flow. He has a really cool flow going on in there, and from what I've seen of the making of videos that the Paradox Live franchise has released, he actually records most of his rap parts in one take, which is impressive, and something that even leaves the rappers, the let's say real rappers or the professional rappers, quite impressed with him. I have been listening to a lot of Paradox Live music. I will be eventually reviewing the CDs that were released this year, part of the Road to Legend CD series, but right now it is not necessarily my focus, as I am trying to catch up on all the CDs that were released even last year. And my last recommendation is CHISE's Diamond.
I know they're envious, so their noise is always burning up. That crazy beauty is my precious identity, and no one can hurt me. Haters cut me and cut me, don't think that I'm not strong. You don't know I'm in love right now.
And I said that CHISE's Diamond is not a remarkable song, it's not really perfect, it's not really a song that I would listen to all the time, but let me tell you, this is a song yet again with lyrics fully in English. You have Wataru Komada performing in English yet again, and it is yet again a sassy song, but it's not on a Persona style of vibe. Persona was interesting because of its minimalism and because of how it was danceable and fun, but still mocking those people that are commenting about him, or are basically, as he labels in Diamond, as his haters. This is a song that I feel it is more of a statement than Persona was. Persona felt more personal, and Diamond feels, although personal, feels a bit more like it is made only to attack. And it works, it is a concept. I do find it that "you are not on my level" is a really confident thing to say in a song. It is rare for characters within 2D groups to be this confident without being offensive. And Chise strikes a really good balance in there, because those that will have to be offended will be offended, but for most of us that are listening to this song, we will feel that this is a kind of an empowering song, because he's really facing his haters and saying that he is a flawless diamond, and you would want to be me, but you can't reach me because you're not on my level. That's really, really confident. It's something that I was not expecting from there. The lyrics are and I'm not going to say the lyrics are amazing, but the lyrics do their job pretty well. It is a sassy song, and I was expecting a song to be this sassy from CHISE, and I was not wrong. Albeit the instrumental is not really my thing, and the chorus is really bad in my opinion. But still, the song as a whole has a really cool vibe, and I do like when, once again, underdogs stand up for themselves and really make a stance and make a really strong statement. And this one is for the haters, which is a really confident thing to say by CHISE. So that's a song that I recommend you to check, at least for curiosity's sake, how sassy he is within that song, and how he is actually facing his haters by confidently say that he is perfect. It's that song that you will actually recommend to your haters to listen to, because it is really a statement song. I find it really interesting. I do love when characters are these sassy and they have no filter in here. You have really... There's some foul language going on in this song. There's no parental advisory, but it should be there. And you also have a really straightforward message to haters. So if you have any haters, well, that song may be a good recommendation. I don't know. But it's really, really awesome. If you have the time to listen to it, do listen. I didn't click with the chorus. That's a big reason why I will not be returning to these songs any soon. And I may re-listen to Persona, because that song is really pleasing to listen to in comparison with this song, which the chorus goes all out with the synths, and it gets really crowded, it gets really in the high frequencies, and it gets really, really annoying midway through. But, well, you can't have both. You have a really, really strong and sassy song. You could, if you had a perfect instrumental, well, this could be one of the best songs of the year, but not everything can be perfect, and if CHISE says he's perfect, well, he is, but the song is not. But there's my suggestion in here. Do check CHISE's Diamond. It is a really interesting song, and it is well worth checking out, if not for the English performance, at least for the sassy delivery. This episode is sponsored by all the Hand That Feeds HQ's patrons on Patreon. A big thank you for the support. Now it's time for Music in the Horizon, and I haven't reviewed any of these CDs that I'm going to talk about. I'm quite excited about 3 CDs, but November is actually packed. And if we go into detail, there are a lot of CDs being released in here. Some from the Tsuki Pro franchise that I do love a whole lot. We have Wataru Hatano as well, with a concept mini album. But since that CD is not going to be major or with a major focus on music, I'm not going to mention it directly here. Still a shout, because Wataru Hatano has been releasing concept mini albums as of late, and not many people have been paying attention to those, but he has been reinventing his music as we speak, and it is quite interesting. This time around, I bring you 3 CDs. First off, I'm going to say I'm excited about Yumochida's Why, but I have been talking about Why and saying that it will not surprise me, and that's because basically most of the CD I've already reviewed it, because I didn't know that those songs were going to be in the full-length album. I stopped reviewing the digital singles as soon as I could, so the releases from August and September were not reviewed, or the September and October were not reviewed, because, well, I was already sure that these songs were going to make the cut to the full-length album, and actually they are. And as such, this CD won't be new to me, but still I'm curious about the new songs, and even if they do not represent half of the CD to actually for me to consider it a new CD, I will still be interested to check it out, because I do love Yumochida, and so far he has been impressing me continuously since he made his solo debut, so I have no qualms about his quality or the music, how interesting his music is. But the CD feels to me that he's not new, because I have reviewed most, if not almost all of it. by now, so it's a bit frustrating that that happened, but I learned a valuable lesson that it is to not review digital singles. I will wait 1 year after a digital single is released to review it, because it may find its way to a full-length album, and even so it may find its way to a full-length album 2 or 3 years later, and I can't do anything about it. But still, quick succession singles and then a full-length album, including those, feels like an odd way to wrap up the year. But still, I'm looking forward to why, because Yumochide is usually a sign of quality on the vocal and instrumental end, so I do not have any problems with that. And also I'm really curious about the song that Yumochide composed, so I want to see what he can do when he is behind the guitar or behind the piano or behind the production. So I want to see what he can do. I'm really curious about it, and I do hope the song really lives up to the hype that is surrounding it. We have Shotawai with Detonator. Once again, a CD that has a lot of songs that were previously released, so I'm not as hyped about it as I should be, but it is the very first CD in 6 years, I believe, so by Shotawai. Zero or Rei, I do not know how it's actually really pronounced. That CD was really awesome, and really I would love for that to happen yet again, for a CD to really impress me and catch me off guard. I do know that most of the songs in this CD are previously released. Yet again, this is a CD that I wouldn't consider new, because there are only very few songs that are really new. And for me, for a CD to be considered new, at least there has to be half the CD of new songs and not most of the CD of previously released ones. But still, I will be diving into it because I love Shotawai. Yet again, sign of quality. If it is Shotawai performing, I do know that I am going to get something really unique on the vocal end, and that really puts a smile on my face, because not many people have his voice tone nor his quality. And I do know that he will deliver, regardless if it is rock music or dance music, he will deliver something amazing. I am hoping for a ballad or two, because he really excels in ballads. He does have the skill set for that. He does have a crystal clear, beautiful, angelic voice that can really be leveraged to make something quite amazing if he goes for ballads. But I do find it interesting when he dives into rock music, so if there is a rock tune or two, that wouldn't be a problem for me, at least. I do love rock music and I do love Shotawai, so if he does something like he did with Eclipse, for example, it will be quite interesting for me. So, looking forward to that, but knowing that the CD is not mostly new. At the same time, and the last entry here is of course Trignal's Iro Nakatachi. It's been years and years as well, like Shotawai, it's been years since the release of an album, and in this case Trignal have been away from the spotlight for too long. Of course, it was because Tsubasa Yonaga was trying to get better because of his dysphonia, and that is a really tricky thing to get over or to improve from. And he actually managed to get a bit better and is now sounding really comfortable. His voice is no longer thin and low, or thin and with a low volume, not low as a deep voice, but low in volume. So right now he's already regained a lot of power and a lot of energy to his voice, and I believe that he can now... Actually, if you have been following the Idolish 7 franchise, which is the only 2D franchise with which he has actually been active or actively releasing music, you have noticed that his vocals sound more powerful right now. He's getting much more spotlight right now, something that he was not getting because the franchise was kind enough to not put him on the spotlight as much as he was back then. So he has improved a whole lot, and I'm really curious to see what his improved vocals can do with Takuya Guchi, that now has really improved a whole lot as a singer and rapper because of his endeavors, his solo endeavors, and of course Ryohei Kimura, that now is an outstanding a cappella singer. I want to see what he can bring with that experience from the a cappella franchise to this group, and how high can Trignal fly with him leading the way. I'm really curious about it. I'm quite excited about Trignal's return because Tricolore, their previous mini album, was amazing. It was a pity that they stopped activities soon after, because I felt like the group was going to build so much momentum if they kept releasing music, but it was understandable that they had to stop to give resting time to Tsubasa Yonaga to recover from dysphonia. It's not an easy thing to recover from, so I'm really glad to see that he's actually coming back stronger than ever and that the group is ready to release new music, and I hope the CD is good. I am expecting, of course, some happy-go-lucky style of music in there. It's to be expected. Trignal are really famous for that, but I do hope the CD is not all of that. I do hope that they go more towards the Tricolore vibe that is more mature. It is a really interesting style or approach to their music, and if they can in some way approach their music like Sparklu have been approaching, more mature, more stylish, more funky, or funkier in this case, and really mature, I would love for that to happen. So Trignal, it's your call. I'm looking forward to listening to your CD, Irona Katachi. And that's all on my end about the CDs that I'm most excited about, or particularly excited about in November 2023. Of course, there are many more releasing this month. This is a packed month leading up to the end of the year, which is not as packed as I was expecting, but still it is a really strong November leading up to a rather weak December. That's all from my end. Let's check your opinions. And we have a comment by Sonata. Sonata says, nothing is really in my mind, but probably the B Project mini album for the anime series. That's also another anime series that is airing this season, so if you are a fan of anime and also 2D music projects, you have Paradox Live, Hypnosis Mic, and B Project. So those are three big ones airing at the same time. It is a lot of music, and if you are a fan of 2D music, regardless of the music genre, you will be having a really awesome season of anime to watch. Sonata says the CD that features the songs in the B Project anime series. I do not know which songs those are. Of course, I have written about those for the article or the news piece that is on the website, but I haven't reviewed any B Project music in a year. I have to return to that. So right now I do not know how each group is sounding like, and if they have improved anything, or if they have added anything on the vocal end or even on the instrumental end, if they have matured or not. So I'm curious about that. Of course, when it comes to these kinds of ensemble style of songs with all cast members performing a song, I'm not as fond of, because I feel like these songs really don't add anything new to the table, and they end up only being a way to showcase all the voice actors within a project for those that do not know about the project. So it is really good as an introduction, but I always feel that these types of songs or these types of releases don't really bring anything new or really interesting to the table. There are some exceptions, of course, but for B Project I always feel that aside from one or two songs, they usually, when they have ensemble style of songs, those are not particularly remarkable. And if anything goes by, at least from the last CDs that I reviewed in this franchise, their music has been shifting to a weird style. I hope it is no longer like that, but was shifting to a weird style that I was not finding interesting. So I'm curious about that, and I will eventually be checking the B Project franchise, but not right now. I do have a long list of 60 CDs to review before the year ends, and there are still many more that are going to be released until the end of the year, so this is crazy, and I will eventually be reviewing, and the review will eventually hit the website. I don't know when, and I can't promise, of course, when, because my schedule gets really crazy with my daytime job, juggling with this side thing that I love, which is the hand that feeds HQ. But thank you very much for your comments, Sonata. I do hope that you actually find the CD interesting, and I would love to know what you actually loved about it or not. So thank you very much, Sonata, for participating, and this is all about Music in the Horizon. Now let's go to the final feature. Welcome, of course, to the Ask Vanessa corner, and I had a theme prepared, which was here, written Chiba solo debut, but it seems that someone came forward and asked the same thing. So, Naz, welcome to the show, and thank you very much for asking what you asked. Naz says, I'm typing out of excitement during Chiba's YouTube livestream, so thoughts on him finally debuting as a solo artist, plus releasing an EP early next year. I'm really excited. I've actually created a whole podcast episode about him, which it was the very first time that I created a whole podcast episode about a specific seiyuu. This shows how excited I am about this. It's been 3 years saying that I want him to make a solo debut, and finally it happened. At least finally I can say that someone that deserves to make a solo debut is finally going to make a solo debut, which has been something that in recent years it has felt like most solo debuts have been weird. They don't really seem to fit the purpose. The seiyuu making a solo debut are not actually popular at all. And to make a break in the music industry, you need to have a certain rapport you need to have some fans backing you, because otherwise you will flop on the charts. The music industry is this vicious. So when I see seiyuu that are not really that popular making a solo debut, I always think that this is doomed from the start. This is not going to work well, no matter how awesome the music label may be, or how awesome they may be as singers. You need to have a certain backing. You need to think that at least you need to have 1,000 fans supporting you, ensuring that your CD at least enters the chart. Finally, we have someone that actually has built so much rapport behind them and shown so much quality, both as a singer, as a composer, as a guitarist, as someone that is behind the creative direction of his music. You do see that with Criminal, the song that was released in Sparklu's Daybreak. You have someone that is so talented that I want to see him succeed. I want to see him shining. I think, and this is going to be a really wild comparison, I think he's the next best thing when it comes to pop rock music, or to a solo artist debut in recent years since Soma Saito. If he actually goes and creates his own music, he is going to be the next big thing after Soma Saito. And it's a really hard thing to do, because Saito has been flawless so far, since he has picked his music up and done everything from the creative direction to the lyrics and even the composition. So if Chiba does that, if he actually is in charge of his music, if he actually is leading the way in the creative direction, he is going to go for a long time and be really successful. He's actually in a music label that knows how to make seiyuu superstars. So if he actually is allowed to, he will turn into a superstar. Right now, of course, I'm not worried about that. I want him to release a really strong debut EP with Blessing, and I want him to succeed. I want him to have strong sales numbers right from the start. At least, I would say for a debut, 2,000 would be really awesome and strong. Not many say you can go past that amount for a debut, but if he actually managed to go 10k, it would be crazy. But I want him to actually succeed, and I want to see all the hard work that he has had. He has had a really strange career as a voice actor. He has been going back and forth from these, juggling it with his studies and with his acting work, and he has tried multiple times to make a debut as a voice actor, and he failed. He actually rebooted his career twice, which is strange for seiyuu to do that. But he's finally found his groove, he's finally found His voice as a voice actor and he's improved a whole lot. As a singer, is night and day from his performances back then with B Project as a member of Killer King, actually the leader of Killer King, as well as some of the performances with Side M as a member of High Joker. He has improved a whole lot. I did love a whole lot his performances with Perfection Noise, or in the Perfection Noise franchise as part of Noise Nova. The franchise all is quiet, and I can safely say that they are no longer around because, well, it is how projects usually go these days. They appear and they quietly disappear without a word to the fans, which is weird and somehow a slap to the fans' faces that they have been supporting a project and they do not even get a farewell. But still, he has been improving a whole lot. He improved and showed a lot with Noise Nova. He has been doing an awesome job with Erosion in the Cornelian Blood franchise, and although the franchise has been quite quiet in 2023, they only released an album early on in the year. Yes, I have not forgotten that I have to review that. And he has been doing a whole lot. He impressed a whole lot with Visual Prison. I'm not a fan of the franchise. I've said it countless times. I'm not even a fan of Oz. I'm within the Visual Prison franchise. I'm a fan of Eclipse. It's more my style of visual rock, not necessarily Oz, but with Oz and singing alongside the group that he was singing alongside with Nanami Hiroki, Makoto Furukawa and Shun Horie, he was doing a lot of things really impressive on the vocal end. The dramatic singing style, the lyrical approach, the theatrical delivery, he was doing a little bit of everything. He with Erosion, he's actually doing screamo, he's actually going for rough deliveries, he's going for power ballads, really emotionally draining performances, and he's impressing me a whole lot. With the Tokyo Color Sonic franchise, he's actually doing exactly the same thing. He's been growing a lot. So when I see Shueisha getting a solo debut after all these years, he was doing an amazing job with Sparklu. It was a pity that he left Sparklu on such a high note, because I felt that he would fit really well with the two following CDs, Neon and We Will. But actually, it was a good thing that he ended his collaboration with the group on such a high note. The group has been improving a whole lot, and he has taken the time to actually see what he wants to do, how he wants to do, and I hope he has been going behind the scenes to see what he wants to do and how he wants to do it, and if he has that control, I would love for that to happen. Actually, the fact that he is releasing an EP, and let me tell you this to everyone, is that if you notice, seiyuu artists release digital singles, EPs, mini albums, and albums. Within albums, we have concept albums, which can be shorter and not really considered a mini album, or full-length albums. Now, when you have a pop artist, and this is a big reason why I'm saying that Shueisha perhaps is going to perform rock music, is that pop artists do not release EPs. They usually call their CDs mini albums. And usually they do not release mini albums. Pop artists do not release mini albums. They release singles and albums, full-length albums. So if you have Shueisha coming forward, saying that he is actually working on the lyrics, or worked on the lyrics or the composition, I do not recall which, for the title track in his EP, and actually is releasing an EP, and is actually a guitarist, and is actually a big fan of rock music, all things line up perfectly for him to be performing at least pop rock music, a bit like how Gakuto Kajiwara is doing. That would be already a good start for me, because if it is rock music within King Records, it's already a win. I'm not a fan of the Elements Garden crew that usually works with the seiyuu artists at King Records, so I hope Shueisha stays well away from Elements Garden, because otherwise we are going to get the same thing that all other seiyuu artists have been doing, and it will actually not sound good. Although many people love Elements Garden, I do not find a reason behind, a good reason at least, to support that hype, because their music has been the same since 2010. But still, it's good to see that Shuechiba is actually making a solo debut. I was watching that live, and when the announcement went on, I was instantly, I opened the Google Doc and started writing a podcast episode. I needed to talk about that. I needed to say that he is going to be the next big thing, because he is going to be the next big thing. Like I said that he is going to be the next big thing, Yuya Hirose is also going to be the next big thing if he actually makes a solo debut, as well as Shun Horie. Those three were my bets, and I'm glad at least one of them is actually making a solo debut. Finally, I was manifesting and it actually manifested. It's really awesome to have Shuechiba making a solo debut. I've already pre-ordered this CD, so regardless if it is good or not, I know for sure that I will be supporting his new endeavor. And if you actually do have the money for that, do purchase the physical CD to at least help him make a good solo debut. Regardless if it is good or not, if he fails to impress you with that CD, that's it for you, and you do not purchase any physical CDs after that, unless he releases something that clicks with you. But at least at this starting point, it is really important that fans actually purchase the CD. After that, you will pick and choose what makes sense for you to purchase. But when the seiyuu is actually starting, regardless if the music is going to be good or bad, if you are a fan of him, at least try to purchase the physical CD. There's a regular edition that is not even 15 euros or $15, so it is really relatively cheap for the content that you get in there. It's an EP, which is to say it has 5 songs in there, and if Shuechiba actually was in charge of composing and writing more music within that CD. We do not know by now. We only know that the title track has or lyrics or composition by him. I believe it's lyrics by him. We are going to get something really in the likes of Criminal, and I did love how he wrote those lyrics, so I'm quite excited to see what he does next. And this is, of course, the news that has me most hyped up in 2023 so far, because in the lack of Makoto Furukawa releasing new music, actually released in the summer, but I do feel like it warranted at least a full-length album release by the end of the year, and Lantis opted to not do that and to focus on his first live show with at least fans in the crowd. And of course, Soma Saito hasn't been active at all in 2023, so my biggest excitement of 2023 so far is Shuechiba's solo debut. I'm quite excited about it, and I can't wait for him to make a solo debut. And I believe this is going to be a review that is going to drop on day one for me, because as soon as I get my hands on that CD, I will be reviewing the heck out of it. And regardless if it is a really good one or a bad one, we need to understand that the first CD is usually a safe one. There are barely any seiyuu that can make a major impact with their debut CD, and even if they make a major impact in there, if they release more music after that, you will notice when you look back that actually that CD, even if it felt really good, it actually was really safe in comparison with what they do right now. So I'm really curious about what he can pull off. It is an EP, 5 songs, it will probably be pop rock music. I hope so, fingers crossed in here. I want Shuechiba to be in charge of creating his own music and choosing the people he wants to work with. I'm really excited about this. I can't wait for him to release Blessing. I am really happy to see so many people actually excited about this solo debut, and I do hope, I'm really wishing it works really well and that he gets the love that he deserves, because this guy has been through a lot in his career as a voice actor. Restarting and rebooting his career twice is not easy. To be called a flat style of actor is not really easy for a voice actor that works his ass off to improve and to deliver something really interesting. So he has been through a lot of criticism in the past. He has tried to be a voice actor twice. He's actually ditched his acting career for voice acting because it is his passion, and he's actually ditched or left, let's say left, because he graduated Sparkle, which was a group he was really awesome within, and he was really friends with the whole group, just to actually stop, organize his career, and actually give a chance to something that he loves to do. So do support him if you can. I believe it is one of those times in which, if you are a fan, actually go and support, more so than downloading the songs online in pirate websites or streaming the music. You can still stream, but still try to support if you can, purchasing the full the CD, because by the end of the day, that's the only indicator that King Records needs to actually see if his career is viable to be successful or not, or if he turns into a Soichiro Hoshi that only releases music from time to time. So we want him to be releasing music as frequently as Mamoru Miyano or Yumo Uchida. We do not want him to release music sparsely like Shotawai does, or release music really sparsely like Soichiro Hoshi does. So it will depend on the sales, how much he is active. And I want him to get really good sales numbers to basically warrant him to create more music, to do more, to be more comfortable with himself and find his own voice. I'm really curious to see if he finds his own voice as a singer, as Shoichiba the singer, the solo artist, and if he is not emulating any characters that he has voiced before. Of course, it's going to be a struggle. Usually it is a struggle for seiyuu when they start, unless you are Gakuto Kajiwara, in which he immediately had his own voice, which was crazy. But I'm really curious to see what comes from here, and I would love to have Shoichiba actually picking the guitar and playing guitar for his debut EP. So fingers crossed everything goes right. The hardest part was to make a solo debut, so that's already cleared. Right now is to see if everything lines up perfectly. And I will be here cheering him on, and I believe you, Naz, will also be cheering him on, as well as many other people that were really excited about his solo debut. And let's see and hope January is actually dominated by him, with Blessing, his first EP. If you want to know more about this CD, do check the website. I do have an extended feature about the CD, and you have as well links to the stores if you want to purchase the CD through CD Japan or Amazon Japan. Actually, Amazon Japan is with really high shipping fees right now, so I believe it will be better to send or to purchase through CD Japan right now. At least it was my experience as someone that lives in Europe. The shipping was almost the same price as the CD. It doesn't make any sense. And from CD Japan, the shipping was actually lower, and includes the VAT as well, so you do not have to pay twice for it. It's already paid for. And right now, any purchases from CD Japan actually count to the Oricon charts, so you can purchase safely through there because your purchase will count to the Oricon charts. So you no longer need to purchase directly from Amazon Japan, unless you have a better deal coming from there and your shipping is not crazy, like I was getting my shipping to be quite crazy. And this is all from me. I hope you are all looking forward to Shoichiba's solo debut. I know most people are skeptical about this, especially because he's a rock artist or a rock style of singer, and is joining King Records that is known for pop music. But I'm really curious to see what he can pull off, and hopefully that EP shines and shines a lot. I'm rooting for him, so let's see if Shoichiba rises and gets that popularity that he deserves and that is long awaited for him. And this is all from me. Thank you very much to everyone that participated in this episode, Sonata and Naz, and for everyone for watching this episode until the end. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.